Let's start this video simple this time. I quite enjoyed Marvel Tokon. I really enjoyed my time with the beta. For those who don't know, Marvel Tokon is the upcoming Marvel tag fighter developed by Arc System Works. If you guys don't know, Arc System Works is like a big fighting game developer. They make Guilty Gear and stuff like that. So, mostly anime fighters, right? Basically, they're the ones in charge of the next Marvel fighting game. It's interesting, actually. And I usually kind of like Arc's games. I think they're always visually very impressive. And they even have experience with tag fighters, because they made Dragon Ball FighterZ. If you guys know that game, it was a very big tag fighter about a decade ago at this point. But, you know, it was like the big tag fighter before this current wave of tag fighters we're getting, right? That was the big one that was still alive. Kind of dead now, but you know. There's BlazBlue 2, but we don't really talk about that. I was lucky enough to get into the beta, so I get to make this video, which I'm pretty happy about. And, you know, we'll go over how good the gameplay and everything is, but there is an elephant in the room here that I need to address before we move to that. The beta was very weird. So, what do I mean by that? For some reason, it's only 3 days, but realistically it's not even 2 days. It's like a day and a half. A very, very weird time frame. I live in Eastern time zone, and so the beta started at midnight on the 6th for me, right? Whereas they advertised it as the beta being from the 5th to the 7th, but it starts at midnight on the 6th, and it ends the morning of the 7th. Like, okay, that's a tiny, tiny period of time to play. Also, very, very few invites. For every person that got in, you would hear about how 10 more didn't. So, you know, very exclusive beta, I guess. Also, this beta is being done through the PlayStation Beta program for some reason. I know obviously PlayStation's like financing this or something, or like publishing it. Which, whatever, I don't really care. But that has some downsides. First off, the sign-up process was super vague. You had to sign up to the PlayStation Beta program, but you couldn't really sign up specifically for the game. You had to sign up for everything. So it feels like maybe some people who got in or people who just signed up to the program in advance for other stuff, and so we're wasting some of the invites on those people. It was very, very weird. And it was also very hard to know whether you were actually signed up, because it doesn't give you feedback as like, hey, you're signed up for this beta. It just says, hey, you're signed up to the program. Kind of very, very weird system. Also, it's only on PS5, so this is a PS5 exclusive beta. Some people aren't going to be happy, but I don't particularly mind, I guess, since I have one. But I understand that this is certainly a downside. Where it really, really gets weird is when they start doing scheduled sessions with downtime planned in between each session for you to play. Your beta already is going to last like 36 hours in total. That's the amount you've set between the 5th and the 7th. But then you also add artificial downtime for some reason. That's a bit weird. I don't really get the point of that. Like, I get that the point is to do server maintenance and everything, but like, do you have the time to grab meaningful data during a 6-hour session, and then you have time? Do you actually have time between the 1 or 2 hours between each session to actually do that? And obviously there was a big 8-hour hole between two of them and everything, which is like massive wasted amount of time that we could be playing. They did add a session. Actually, they announced it earlier today. I'm recording this on the night of the 6th. So yeah, they did decide to add an extra session during that hole, because what the hell are we doing, guys? But still, feels pretty unnecessary. And then they also at the same time announced that the first 30 minutes of each session, you would only be able to play against computers. Huh? What are we doing? What's the point of that? And clearly someone at ArcSys or PlayStation realized that that was a mindless decision, and they walked that back for the sessions after the 2nd. But like, who okayed this? Who thought that was like the way to go? I can't see the logic. Like, huh? I get that, like, oh, okay, you get to practice a few things before getting to the actual matches, but, like, no. Give us the training mode at that point if that's the reason. If the point is for server stability, or something, your servers are allowed to fail. This is a beta. I really don't get this decision. And clearly someone at ArcSys realized that it was a stupid idea, so they walked it back for the later parts of the beta. It was also very, very unclear whether we were able to make content about this beta at first, because the general PlayStation beta program's terms and conditions say that you're under NDA just by participating. You can't make content, obviously. You can't stream it, can't record a video, because you're not even legally allowed to talk to your friends about it, was the idea. But then they obviously didn't want that, but they only announced that like a few hours before the beta or something, or maybe the day before. Very, very unclear and very bad communication, right? And they also hyped up this beta. They advertised it and everything at EVO and all that. That was their big announcement at EVO. But then so few people got in. Like, did you want people to play this or not? Did you want to show it off or not? Is it ready? Just feels pretty out of touch. Other than that, what about the betas going on? Well, there's 6 characters in a 4v4 game. And it feels like we could have at least included Ghost Rider and Spider-Man, who you've shown are finished characters for the most part, because they were part of the original reveal trailer. There was no announcement of any characters or any form of content surrounding this beta. We still know very little about the game. And, you know, this is the exact same version that was at EVO. Which is a positive and a negative, I guess. But it's pretty weird that we got no announcement when we've driven up so much hype around beta. But, you know, I get that the point is to just get the game in people's hands and test how it feels, I guess. And see if the servers actually hold. But yeah, overall, it's generally, I'd say, weird, out-of-touch decisions across the board. Because betas normally want to obviously test things and try and test their servers are usually one of the big things. And the way they do that is they want to limit the amount of players that play to see what's going on. One very common way to do this is they have a beta that lasts like a week, and then they add invites throughout the week, right? They add more and more people on to see how much the system can actually hold up to. But since it's such a short beta, they don't have that option available to them. So, like, I get it that they're just being very restrictive from the start, but it feels a bit out of touch, considering we're also doing sessions. Like, either do sessions or have a restrictive amount of people. Both is a bit weird. Whatever, I'm not like an expert on the tech behind it, so we'll move on. It feels a bit mismanaged, though. Also, a lot of people had the sentiment that this kind of feels like a rushed beta, just because they want to be seen right before 2XKO launches. 2XKO is the League of Legends fighting game from Riot, which is going into closed beta next week, actually, like a few days from now at this point. And it's a closed beta. It's basically a permanent launch for people who get in, and then it's just gonna roll into a launch, right? There's not gonna be any downtime anymore, other than server maintenance, obviously. So it kind of feels like they really, really wanted to get this beta out before 2XKO had that closed beta. Kind of feels like that wasn't necessary. They could have waited, in my opinion. But the state of the game isn't bad enough that I'd say it was actually rushed. I do think they should have probably waited until they had 8 characters ready, though. During the periods we could play, I had no technical issues. I mean, I guess other than some of the stuff we'll talk about on the side of like matchmaking and all that being non-existent and the lobby system, but that's not a technical issue. That's an intentional decision that is like patently stupid. Like, that's an intentional decision that someone made that I think is completely patently stupid. Like, absolutely idiotic. So that's not a tech. Now let's move on to the actual game, right? What did I think about Marvel Tokon? This is a beta. The game is not finished. Let me start by saying that, right? But here, we're trying to see, what are my first impressions? Do I think this game will be good? I'm going to start off by saying I think the game was awesome. It looks incredible. The animations are great. The sound design was... I had no problem with it. I'm not a sound guy, but, you know, it was good. The designs are all cool and all that, but you can tell all of that by just looking at gameplay. You don't need me to say that. Here I'm going to be focusing on the gameplay. And the first thing I want to talk about on the gameplay side of things is the thing everyone always asks about new fighting games these days, and I think is warranted, to be fair. How's a new player experience for someone who's never played a fighting game? Now, my background isn't of someone who's never played a fighting game. I've played a few. I'm still not great at motion inputs or whatever. I prefer games with lighter motion inputs, though everyone has their preference when it comes to what kind of motion inputs they like. I still forced myself to use them and everything. And I've played 2XKO, the first alpha, for a good amount and everything, so I have experience with tag fighters a little as well. I'm not like an incredibly new player, but I can still evaluate if this is a good new player experience, and I would say it's actually very good. It's actually pretty damn great game to launch yourself to fighting games if you never played them before. Only if you're into the idea of a tag fighter, though. This game is super chaotic. There's a bunch of assists, a bunch of projectiles going around all the time. If you want a more slow and methodical fighting game, this is not for you. This is definitely a tag fighter, despite, the fact that you don't have to tag all the time. This is a tag fighter. This is a Marvel game. It's a Marvel fighting game. There's a lot of chaos, a lot of jumping, a lot of aerial stuff. There's a lot of bullshit. But if this sounds fun to you, because it's very flashy too, right? That's the other side of the medal. I personally like tag fighters, so I'm not really shitting on them, but if this sounds fun, this is actually a pretty good point to jump in once that game actually comes out. Single button specials are obviously great for new players who are intimidated by motion inputs, but at the same time, single button specials are not the optimal way to do specials. The motion inputs do give you more damage. Auto combos feel pretty strong and make cool shit happen regardless of your skill level, which I think is always important. Tagging is also not required in this game. You only have a single health bar shared between your 4 characters. Doesn't matter who gets hit, the damage gets tacked onto the same health bar. You do need to hit the point character to actually finish a round, but anyone can take damage, and it still does damage to the same health bar. So you don't actually have to tag if you don't want to. You don't need to play multiple characters, which is always the barrier of tag fighters for new players. You don't actually need to learn 4 characters. You could, because it's fun, but you don't have to. It's especially great for learning a new character. Even if you have 2 to 3 characters you're good at, you could learn an extra one, and focus entirely on this one during these matches. That's always a great thing to have in the game. 2XKO also has something like that with fuses, which I'm very happy that they have. You can focus on a single character if you decide to. And obviously 2XKO is going to be the primary competition for this game, which is why I'm making so many comparisons with it. I think both games are going to be great for new players. Marvel Tokon is just a different game. But yeah, cool stuff happens regardless of your skill level. You can mash buttons and have cool shit happen because the auto combos include supers and all that. So for a new player, seems pretty fun. Now, what about the controls? I think the decisions regarding controls that they've made feel good overall, but I have a few caveats. But let's start with the easy way to do specials and all that, and auto combos and all that. They do have a downside, which is good. At high levels, you're going to need to do your inputs manually if you really want to get the most out of each character. You're going to need to do the motion inputs because you do lose a bit of damage if you do them using the quick skill button. But auto combos feel like they'll be relevant at all levels because they're really, really aggressive in this. Universal motion inputs is a weird decision though. Each character has the exact same motions. It's quarter circle forward, quarter circle back, dragon punch input, and down input. Those are the 4 inputs that do your 4 special moves, plus the gimmick button. That's weird. Not every player likes the same kinds of motion inputs. Some players like charge motions, some players like other motions. A lot of players hate down, which is universal on every single character in this game. Take that as you will. It's a bit of a weird decision that every single character needs to do the exact same motions to have access to their specials and their supers. Speaking of supers, I'm really not sold on you needing to press medium plus heavy to use supers. You do the motion input and medium and heavy at the same time. That is how you do super, if you're not using the quick skill button. But That's the same input as grab, and grab feels really weird in this game. When you press grab and you're not melee range, you don't just whiff a grab for half a second and then keep moving. If you press the grab button, the game forces you to walk in a straight line at your opponent slowly and try and grab him. And so anytime you mess up the motion for a super, you end up walking face first into your opponent without being able to block. Feels kinda bad, so I'm not sold on that. But the controls don't feel terrible. There's a lot of mechanics in this game, a lot of universal system mechanics. I don't think I've played enough to truly have an opinion on them. I think most of them feel a bit weird, but I think they're okay. This game will not feel like a tag fighter at low levels. No one's going to be tagging. And there's a massive learning curve to tagging in this game, because it feels like the game kind of doesn't want you to tag sometimes. The timing where you can tag is absolutely tiny, and it's not where you expect it to be. You can't shoot down an assist and immediately tag. You have to wait like 2 seconds after your assist is done doing its attack to tag. So when you call an assist, you need to keep attacking with your point character, and then later on you can decide to tag, which feels incredibly awkward and weird. So there's going to be a learning curve to it because it's not intuitive. Tagging is awkward and unintuitive, and you're not going to be doing it all the time. Especially at low level, no one is going to be tagging, which is a positive and a negative. The game feels very dependent on the character. Some feel clunky, especially Doom feels super clunky, but I guess he kind of has to be because his dash crosses up. It's a teleport, so it can't be fast, but Doom feels pretty bad. I was expecting to really like him, and I really didn't. Still played him, obviously, because he's still decently fun, but I thought his movement felt terrible, but the movement of other characters like Captain America feels incredible. Obviously, this game has double jumps, it has super jumps, it has flight for some characters, it has air dashes and all that, so a lot of movement options. It's a bit crazy, but I do like it. One complaint I do have is that defense feels a bit weak. Block string pressure is incredibly powerful. You can just keep hitting buttons, because there's so few ways to get someone off of you once they start attacking you. You don't have push block, you can't get him off of you that way. You have a mechanic called crossover, I believe, where you can have someone attack one of your party members, basically attack the opponent while they're hitting you while you're blocking. But the issue with that is a counterable mechanic. If they also press that at the same time, either completely cancels out what you just did, or it hits you. At high level, this mechanic will probably suck. And at high level, this game is going to be all offense, which is a positive and a negative. Some people like offensive games. Some people like defensive games. If you really like defensive, slower games, this is not the game for you. I hate that characters swap assist spot when you tag, though. Each character has 4 different assists. What assists they use depends on the situation. If you use an assist while your opponent is blocking or being hit, it does a universal assist that's basically just a hit forward for every character. If you have them in the first slot and you're not doing a combo on the opponent, it's a forward attack, usually like a projectile or a forward attack of some sort. If you do down assist for the character that is in that slot, obviously it's an entire. If you do back, it's unique to the character. It's a specific mechanic. When you tag to a character, they swap spot with your point character. So if you're swapping a lot, you're tagging a lot, the character you set as your forward assist can end up on your down assist, and the character as your forward assist can end up as your back assist. It's a real nightmare to keep track of that. The game really has a learning curve to tagging because you are messing up your team comp by tagging. That's a thing. Having to collect your team is very interesting. To get all of your team members, you need to push them through walls and everything. I think it's unique, and they should definitely keep that mechanic. I think it works. It's a bit weird, but I think it's unique enough that I like it. Calling assists, though, feels very inconsistent. The rules are not clear. Sometimes you get hit, and you just can't use your assist for like 5 seconds. And the game doesn't tell you that. And sometimes you block, and you can't use assist either. But sometimes you block, and you can immediately use it. And sometimes you just can't for like 5 seconds. You're just sitting there mashing the button, and nothing's happening. Feels pretty frustrating. I hope they clarify this or fix it if it's a bug. It feels like you should have more access to your assists, because right now it's really hard to get out of a negative position. If you're getting hit and you lose access to your assist for 5 seconds anytime you get hit, it feels bad. The worst thing about the game is the lobby system. It's truly horrendous. I don't know why fighting games feel like they need a lobby system with chibi characters and have arcade machines and shit. It's absolutely terrible. Give me a button I can press that just sends me into a match with a player of similar skill. That's all I'm asking. In this beta, there is literally no matchmaking. It's not a thing. You pick a lobby, you go in there, and you sit at a machine and hope someone goes on the other side. This means it can be hard to find matches sometimes. I'm gonna put some gameplay of me doing this here. It's truly horrendous. Sometimes you just have to leave a lobby because you're not finding a match, because no one's coming to your specific arcade machine you're sitting at, and no one's alone on an arcade machine that you can join them on. Truly terrible. Like, let me queue. I'm expecting there to be a ranked mode where that's not a thing in the full game, but Jesus Christ, I hate this kind of mechanic. Stop with the shitty lobbies. We don't need these in fighting games. They don't need to exist. It's fucking stupid. Every game keeps doing this, and God is it fucking stupid. This is the worst thing about this game right now. I really hope they fix this before launch. The online felt great though. Obviously, rollback netcode and everything, standard these days, incredible. Every game should feel like this game. Right? Every fighting game should feel exactly like Marvel Tokon. The online is incredible. Anytime you had drops, the game would pause a little, but it was incredibly rare that that would happen. And like, the connection always worked great. Truly felt really good. Really great online infrastructure. Nothing to say about it. Now, to me the funnest thing about this game, and the reason why I'm a bit iffy on the tagging mechanics and the assist calling, is that the funnest thing about this game is when you start tagging. We actually do start implementing that tagging. When you go from one character to the other and do some cool shit with them, include multiple characters in a combo, start doing double supers by linking your different characters together and everything. You can use 3 supers in a row if you want, by just switching from character to character in the same combo. It's really fun. And you can start doing really cool shit. This is a tag fighter. Tagging is a big part of the fun. The fact that it's so hard to access in this game kinda sucks. It took me a while to start using it. The gameplay I'm putting on this video, I believe, has me tagging around a decent amount. But man, I really wish it was easier to access. But hey, the fun is there, it's just harder to access. I truly had the most fun once I had learned like 3 characters. I learned Miss Marvel, Captain America, and Doom, and I ended up swapping around those 3 during my matches, and it felt really, really fun. This is the most fun I had with the game was on day 2 once I had learned 3 characters to a decent amount where I was at least comfortable using auto combos and including assists and everything and tagging around and shaking up the matchup over time. That's when I really started having fun. This is when the game clicks. That's why a lot of people were saying the game wasn't clicking at EVO. You need the time to learn a few characters and to learn the tagging system because it's so weird. Once you learn that tagging system, it truly starts to feel great. The game is also very freeform, which is fun. Most combos just work. If you want to try something, it probably works. But that's mostly because of the aggressive auto combo system. When it starts working, you know, you're like, oh, can I do this here? And you're like, oh, hey, it works. But it put me into the auto combo. That's not actually the move I was trying to do. So most of the time, you do get the combo, random bullshit, it just kind of all works. Which is cool, but at the same time, when you realize that it's just the auto combo activating, it feels a bit bad. Obviously, there's combos beyond the auto combos. This was a beta, I didn't take the time to lab out anything. For specific combos, I just stuck with auto combos and trying to add some stuff to them and assists and all that to reduce the combo meter. Once we have a lab, you know, we have the ability to go into training mode for this game, there will be a lot more interesting stuff you can do with it. But it's a bit of a shame that auto combos feel so aggressive in this game. It pulls you into auto combos no matter what you do, which is a bit sad. And in some situations, it just feels like the auto combo is the best thing you can do no matter what. Especially like in the air. The game really wants you to go into the auto combo. Kinda sucks. But yeah, those were my thoughts on the game. Overall, really, really fun. You really need to change this lobby system. Please, for the love of God, I'm tired of fucking fighting games having the most dog shit lobby system ever made by mankind. But yeah, it was really fun. The beta was very weird. I hope they fix their shit, fix their communication, maybe even fire whoever was in charge of this beta, because Jesus Christ, there were a lot of mistakes here. But I am hopeful for this game. I'm actually looking forward to picking it up when it comes out. I'm expecting next year. But for now, 2XKO is actually next week. I'm probably going to be making a video around that closed beta launch as well, because I'm really excited for this game, actually. So, you'll probably see me making a video about that. I know I've never made a video about fighting games before, but the whole concept of this channel is me making videos about whatever the fuck I feel like talking about, so here are fighting game videos for you guys. I don't know. Thanks for listening to me yap again. If you're a returning viewer, that's pretty cool. Yeah. I don't really have much to say because I don't believe in outros. I do think you should probably sub. I mean, it'd make me happy. If you care about that, I guess. If you don't, fair enough. It's your life. Also, you're spending it watching my video, so like, I get to judge you a little in exchange if you don't sub, I guess. If you hated this video, you should definitely leave a comment telling me everything wrong. And make it a personal attack, please. I would really appreciate. Because now I'm about to attack you and tell you to get out of here, because this is not a good use of your time. Okay, maybe it was an okay use of your time. I mean, entertainment's important. Not as much as getting the fuck out of here, though. Go away.